So jealousy in relationships is a very common experience. I'm pretty sure you felt probably jealous at some point of your relationships and all of them, and probably you have become jealous many times in each of your relationships. Jealousy is a feeling we humans do have. However, we don't like it, but sometimes we also need it to become aware of our feelings. So let's delve a little bit into the psychological underpinnings of jealousy, and let's explore the roots, the triggers, and the potential solutions to get rid of your jealousy or of the jealousy of your partner. There is one thing that always made me jealous or suspicious in a relationship, and this was my girlfriend's smartphone. So if my girlfriend had been at the phone many hours a day, I started to wonder, is she using dating apps? Who is she talking to? Why isn't she talking with me? Why is her phone more important than me? But after all, it's still a phone, but on the other hand, it's also a tool to communicate with pretty much everyone in the world. So I don't like my girlfriend's smartphones. Don't like them at all. As I said in the beginning, jealousy is not always a sign of insecurity. It is also actually a reflection of your deep love and for your desire for a real connection in honesty. So where does jealousy actually come from? Let's take a look into history and the roots of jealousy. Where does it come from? The evolutionary origin for jealousy is actually, or was, a survival mechanism. Because especially women needed to make sure that they have a man or a couple of men who would provide them with resources, shelter, and protection. Therefore, being the one who is loved was necessary for survival, especially for women and for weak men. And just like any other emotions, jealousy is written in our genes. We cannot get rid of it because it's just a human trait. It's something that makes us human. Of course, this dependency between men and women, when it comes to the man hunts the deer so the woman can eat it, creates some form of attachment. And this attachment is still existing today. As soon as a woman becomes dependent from a man, her jealousy will grow and grow and grow because there's no other option than being with this man. At least that's what they think. So what jealousy makes you do is you start to compare yourself with others. You start to look around, who could be a better option for my partner? And you start to hate these people because they're actually your enemies and they could take away your resources and your food and your love and all that stuff. And that's why jealousy can be pretty bad for self-esteem, because if you are not a super secure and attractive person, jealousy will make you feel very, very bad. So how is jealousy triggered and how is it manifested? Well, there are real threats and imaginary threats. So a real threat would be an evidence of infidelity or a perceived threat to the relationship. These are actual real threats, and it's totally okay if you get triggered by one of these real threats. But there are also these imaginary threats, like these are unfounded fears. These are anxieties or insecurities that actually come from past experiences and have nothing to do with your current relationship or the current situation you're in. Meaning you are so anxious, you are already looking for some evidences of infidelity or mistrust. So this can turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you look hard enough, you will find something that makes you jealous. So this is almost like some addiction to jealousy. So these people, if they don't become jealous after a couple of weeks in a relationship, they might think something is wrong. Why am I not jealous? Maybe it's not the perfect partner. Maybe I deserve somebody better who can make me jealous, so I want him more. Ooh, that's some sort of paradox in our psyche, but that's just how it is. Well, and all these threats and insecurities, they lead to certain behavioral patterns, like a possessive behavior, a constant checking, constantly controlling your partner, and an excessive need for constant reassurance, which can be pretty exhausting and annoying for your partner. And the more jealous you are, the more other negative emotions come into play, like anger and sadness and anxiety and all the fears that are associated with jealousy. And of course, what you're afraid the most is becoming even more jealous. So what could happen in the end is a communication breakdown, a conflict escalation, and basically jealousy can lead to the end of a relationship. But for people who don't know how to deal with jealousy, for some it might also lead to self-destructive behavior, like self-sabotage, unhealthy coping mechanisms, or, as I said before, escalations of conflict. So how can you manage jealousy? What are the coping strategies? Well, there is self-awareness, meaning if you are self-aware enough and you can actually observe when some patterns of jealousy are being triggered, you might be able to deal with it. The most important thing, if you want to avoid jealousy, is an open and, I wouldn't say constant, but at least regular communication with your partner. So when you feel jealous about something, just address it. And maybe your fears are being taken away in just a few sentences. Also, try not to become too dependent from your partner. Focus on your personal growth, your personal strength, your self-worth, and this will all reduce insecurity over time. And the more insecure you are, the less reason you have to actually be jealous. Also, cultivate healthy boundaries, meaning you need to define your own personal space, your comfort zone, but at the same time respect each other, respect each other's needs, and try to maintain some sense of individuality. You are a couple, but you are still both individuals. Yeah, and that's it for today. If you like this episode, give it a like if you want. You can also drop me a comment if you think I said something that was just wrong or you think differently. And you can also subscribe to the channel, and here are some other videos you can watch. Thank you for listening, and until next time.